Hi, good morning. I'm sharing my screen. Please confirm once you are able to see the screen. Are able to see the screen? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Now, uh, so I have already created a database with table users, and we have a name, ID, email, name, password. So our aim was to insert the data from UI as you register the form. From that UI, I want to store it in the database, and I want to use this password for logging validation. So using this email, I want to ensure that that password is validated before I allow him in. So in that, we created a register. That is what we did last time. We created a router called register. This router is taking the path. This path is given at our index.ts API/API route. And yesterday, when I was giving this URL, I just go to postman. Another important thing that you need to understand here, where you place that app.use. App.use, according to the placement of the app.use, the behavior varies. So last time, I'm just opening that. You see that it is under 6000 port. I am also ensured that it is running at the 6000 port. So my server is running. So when I try to type in here, when I try to pass this request, I could not see. I was seeing undefined here, request.body. When I go to the code again, that was what we have seen in the last class. So in the request.body, API.ts, the console request.body, it was giving undefined. This body was not recognized. So the problem for that was, the problem was initially with where I placed this app.use. App.use, I placed it over here. When I placed it over here, first is the route is taken place, then only I'm registering the body content. So express.json is nothing but I'm registering the body content only after that. So because of that, it was not appearing. So if I try to put as soon as the express is declared, and immediately I say this express, you deal this JSON, maximum limit is 1 MB of the size. Don't go beyond that. That means you reject the request if it is beyond 1 MB. So in our case, it is going to be very less. So you can control that in the using size itself. If you don't want to do anything, you just give the JSON. By default is 1 MB to be precise. Then I'm using the API. Routing I'm using after that. Once I do that, reconcile it, recompile it. Then if I do the postman request, you can see the body here in the server side. Send the request. So you got the request received. You can see that email, name, password, you are seeing it here. So you are able to see this here itself. So that is because where I placed last time when I was on Friday, I placed it in the wrong place. Because of that, you are not able to see it. I am just pasting it below. Sorry, pasting it below. Control F. I'm redoing this. So now if you see here, it has got recompiled. You can see now it has got recompiled. Send. You got it, but you see an undefined here. So where you place your app.use is also equally important from the node perspective, right? It is loaded after your routing is called. That means the routing is finished first, then only you are calling the app.use. Because of that, you are not able to see that record. So it has to be placed as soon as you finish the express, you place that content there. So then you will get the body. So it is not promise router, it's not required. The only reason for that was placement of the app.use. That is very critical. There are a lot of users we do. Make sure you put it in the appropriate place. Routing should be the last. Whatever validation you want to do it, you do it before. Okay, that means before my request enter into the routing, I am ensuring that express.json, that means body has to be recognized as a JSON body. Then only the body will be recognized as a JSON body. Okay, body content is recognized. Otherwise, body content is not recognized. Okay, so that is one important thing. So I go back. Now today we'll just complete this flow. I'm going back to my API. I want to insert the data. Go to mine is it was in the user. So insert into users, email, name, password. These three values are input. Query param, param.email, param.name, param.password. Register is the method name. I just insert this record here. Then I went into the user controller. User controller, because I don't want to expose my DB layer directly to the routing layer. So I'm having one middle layer that is called business layer. That business layer, we use the word controller. So the controller, in this case, there is no business logic or anything. Whatever the parameter comes in, I just want to add it here. So when I do that creation of the node, I don't want email to be, I want email to be unique. I can do it in this way, unique, or I can do it in unique bracket email. This is email as an individual component as an unique. So I need to change my database for this. So I need to change my database. I go to Putty. My database is connected through Putty in this case. So Putty uses keys. So that is exclusive for us. It is not available for you. So it's not available for you. It is exclusive. Upskill is where I'm just connecting to my database. So I've connected to my database, upskill. So I drop the database. I drop the table, drop table, users. Because I didn't have a uniqueness created. So I'm going to create the uniqueness with uniqueness. With uniqueness, I just create the record here. So I created the table. Now if I put /d users, /d users, so you get the complete information. You can see there are two keys. One is primary key user ID. Second is so-called unique constraint email key. That means email now cannot be duplicated. So when you are doing that, you need to ensure, right? Lower, upper, all that you have to be very careful. So another way of doing it is, I always want to pass whatever the email, the way you store the data here, you want to make sure that index is created with the lower. So that is also possible. So you can create an index with the lower of email because you want to apply the lower. So uniqueness you want to maintain at the lower case, so you can maintain that as well. So anyway, so lower, so I leave it to you on that, how you do it. I just leave it to you. You can create the unique like this. So instead of unique at the top, you can create the unique here like this. End of the line, then unique bracket lower email. So this also I can create it in this way. This is much better means. So drop table if exist users so that I can execute both together. I can execute both together. So there is a mistake there. So lower email is not accepting uniqueness. So it doesn't, you cannot do it. Only index I can create, but I cannot create the lower. This I cannot create. So I have to be very careful when I save the data. I save the data, I have to be very careful. So I drop it and recreate it. It has created the table. This is also another way of creating the uniqueness. So at the time of inserting the data to this email column, you need to ensure that you always store it as part of the lowercase so that it is taken care of. So I'm going back to my postman, controller. So controller, register stores the data. Uniqueness is also now taken care. So success false, then success true. If it is connection error, I'm restarting the DB. This we have already seen. If it is a query mistake, query result message will come here. Perfectly fine. So I come back to this where I'm going back to my API dot. This is the place. So instead now, after this, I just now let result. I don't need a let result equal await of. So I need to have it in the common user controller. So I need to call that user controller here. So import user controller. I have to give it here from double quotes controller user controller. So inside this user controller, open the class, user controller class, instantiate the class, constant, user controller, instantiate the class. So there is no variable declaration. So I'm just instantiating with empty data. Await user control dot register. So parent to be passed, that is nothing but request start body. So I just want to message, I just want to put it as result. The entire result, I just want to pass it here as my entity here. So I can give it like this also, then result colon result will get passed. So that also we'll see it here. So I don't have to put the quotes and then result again. If I'm putting the variable directly here, it will take care of the entire thing. In case of pass, there is a DB connection failure. For success or query failure, I'm showing it here only 200. For query failure, you want to show it as different code. Then you need to validate it. If result is success, then you pass the 200. If result is bad, you can pass it as 401, bad request. So if result dot success, you pass it the current one as it is. If result is wrong, else, then you want to pass it as status 401, right? Dot JSON. I just say success. Even I don't have to say success true or false now, because that is all part of the result itself. That is all part of the result itself. But it will go as result colon. So if I want to just pass the result, just pass the result, because result itself is a JSON. So I can pass it like this. So because success, false or true, it is already part of the result. Only thing is you want to change the status. If the status is success, you want to make it as true, 200. If it is otherwise false, that's what you want to delete it. So 401, I have now connected up to the DB. So I'll just show here, select my putty. I'm going back to putty now. Select star from users. If I do this, you can see an empty row here. Now, if I add the record, you will see a new row created. So through postman, I now send the data. Just see what happens. True, row count 1, there is no rows returned because it was a successful query. If I go back to putty, my DB connection, users, you can see now one user got added. So you are now node, you are able to connect to the DB, insert the record in the DB and come out of the DB. And if I say again, the same user, I'm passing it again. Now you can see the what? Duplicate key violates unique constraint user's email key. So it validates and it says that there is a duplicate key. And it is a query mistake. Because it is a query mistake, it is unauthorized. I don't want unauthorized here. I want bad request. So that means it is 400. 400 is, I think it is bad request. Or 404 is page not found. So 400 is the bad request if I'm right. So you can take the help. So bad request. Because in our case, it's a bad request. 400. So 400 duplicate key violates unique constraint user's email key. That means if I go to the DB again, you will see that that user is not added again. Right? So this is taken care of. So now I want to return user ID. So I want to return the user ID. You can do that as well. That is nothing but returning. You just have to use the word returning in this. Returning ID. If I use returning ID, when a new user I'm creating now, abc1@gmail.com, right? Password, new email, only email is validated, code is compiled, send. You can see now ID equal to 4. Row count is 1. You can see now rows. I have not changed any code because the code handles whether it is a get, whether it is an insert, whether it is an update, code handles it. Right? Automatically it handles. So I don't have to change anything now. So any number of columns it will return. Now I want to now log in. That is my next activity, right? After I register, I need to log in. So login means what you need to do. First is I need to check whether user, this is the email is the one that I use. So I go to the common DB, sorry, users DB. Another method, async, get user with password. I just give one name. So param here is nothing but username. So either you can give it here or I can give user email. Email as my email as a string. Email as a string, I can pass it. Constant, query text, login. Basically, it is a login. I use instead of query with password, I say login. Query text, easy. Insert into, not insert, sorry. Select from what you want. I want email, I want password, I want name. Because if it is a valid user, I want to send back email and name to the outside world. From users where email equals lower of. So here also make sure when you are inserting, you insert with lower of $1. So that always it is converted to the lower email. Lower of whatever the user gives the input. So I ensure that it is converted to the lower and then compare it with my data. Where email is this. Once I do it, query param email. Directly it is a email. Right? Copy paste my return function, copy paste. So the query becomes simple. Just write the query, return the query. Because all other functionalities I don't have to recreate because already it is part of the reusable function. All success, negative, everything is taken care of by this method. Right? So log, it is now login. I'll just put here login. login, query text, query param, query text, select email password name. So I'm returning whenever email exists and that email is part of the user, then I get this login. So I return this data, come back to my controller. Now controller async, login. I'm worried about email. So I needed an email. So here, I first is email exists or not. Email must exist. If email exists, I need to compare the password what is entered by the user versus password in my system. If this both password matches, I need to give the login. Otherwise, I need to deny the login. That is what I need to do. So first is get the users. Let result equal await user db. One time all classes created, so it is available now. So email is the string. If result exists, success, and row count result and result dot row count greater than 0, right? Result dot row count greater than 0. Possibility of row count becoming 0 is, sorry, undefined is there. Because of that, this validation will always, so that's why he is giving this warning. If row count exists and if it is greater than 0, then you do this. That means this if it exists and so undefined is taken care of. If it exists and then this you manage this, what you want to do, I want to validate the password. So let pass equal to result dot rows of 0, result of rows of 0 dot password, that is my pass, and user, here it is not email, I'll take the entire param because I need user data, param any. So here it is param dot email, here password. If pass equal param dot password, then I want to say you are successful. I want to return the name. Return success equal to true. Success true. Row count is not required for me. I just say rows. Either I can use the word rows. If it is rows, I have to, here it will be only one row, but I'm just maintaining the standard. Name equal to result dot rows of 0 of name. Then password, sorry, not password should not be sent, email. Email or user ID. I need to get the user ID as well because user ID is important for subsequent request. So ID as user ID. So that is important because I need to subsequently I need to get the so user ID. So result dot rows of 0 dot. Instead of all that, I can do it like this. Instead of pass, I can say rest entire row. I just remove it. Instead of here, rest dot password I use. Here I can make it simpler. Rest dot name, rest dot user ID. I have given alias name already. Then email. So rest dot email. So I can now pass the record as my return. If not, what needs to be sent? Return success equal to false. Then a message invalid user or password. I just want to pass this message. If result itself is not successful, that means result not success, there is no row count or anything. What do you want to do? Else, I want to pass the same message because I don't want any clue to be passed for hackers to know whether system user or something. So I just want to pass the same message because it is for performance thing. So it is identically equal to means I can put 3 equal to also. 3 equal to means identically equal to, right? So now I have given now login. So when I give a username and password, it will check and it will compare. If password matches, it returns the one result. If password doesn't matches, it returns a different result. Now I come back to the API. Come back to the API. Common control for timing, I close it so that I can get the API here itself. So I just copy this entire thing here so that I don't have to rewrite everything. DB connected is common. Request body, let it be. Now instead of register, I use login. Login, 200 JSON result, 400 bad request. So that is okay. All other things remain same. You can see the way we are able to go forward. Instead of register now, I need to just make sure it is login. So it is login. I log in now. When I log in, it should validate the DB, select the username. If user is I get to pass email. So in the controller, I need to ensure that I pass the email, get the result, compare the password. So I'm getting the rows. So for time being, what I'll do is I just put here console log result. I just type the result here so that you know what it is happening. I save all. I save all. So that you know what are all the rows that is returning, etc. You know, right? So why I put rows of 0, you will understand from here. Or I'll just put result of rows. Result of rows I put so that it doesn't do any of the. So I just save it. It is saved multiple times, so it has got restarted. So it is done. Having said that, now come to this upskill, create one more duplicate. In this duplicate, you just make this, edit this as login. No change to anything. Body, I just now give only email, nothing else. And password, sorry. Email and password. So this is my input. So I give this with a positive record. With a positive record, I give this input. I save this so that I change it. There are two now, register and login. So now this body is ABC, right? Not ABC1. So send. It says false, duplicate key. So because the register, here the method is still register. I go with login. So register that is login, send. Now it is saying invalid user or password. So abc.gmail.com, password I have given, but it says invalid user or password. Let us see why. So here I printed somewhere the result, right? Undefined. The result is undefined here. Let us go back to the code. So param, where I was, API. From API we'll start. Request.body, you got the request.body, e.g. ABC Gmail, password is fine. And request.body is moving to result, that is login. I go to the controller, how to debug. Controller, param.email. So param.email, there is no spelling problem. Email, it is absolutely right. Spelling, so result. So result.rows. This is not printed, undefined it is saying. This is not printing, so I come to the DB level. So lower, here I am giving email. I have taken email. So that email is being passed on to the lower email. So everything looks right, but it looks different. So what we'll do is just print this console log, because for us it looks like same. Query text, query param. So that you know what it is data is going in, why it is failing. We'll come to know that as well. So user ID underscore ID have taken, email, password, name. ID, username, password, name. Okay. Save as. So lower email. So email is the parameter, email is the string. Let us see that. Execute. So execute. I have not added anything. I just added a console log. So undefined. Select user ID, lower, email, abcgmail.com, lower email, email equal to. So this query, I'll try to execute. This query, I'll try to execute. So I try to execute in my, so instead of email, you can see, I use the word email here. So it is supposed to be $1 parameter. As we said, when we are passing the parameter, $1 has to go, not email. So $1 has to go. If I give a $1 now, because I have not given the $1, it is passing that email. Email is a variable name, but variable name you cannot pass it. Now you send, still the problem, but you can see now result has come. Result, I got the user ID, but we see here array. It is within array. I am getting the user ID, email, password, but still I am failing, right? Password is failing. So username, password, password here, password. So there is failing here. Let us check that. In the code, I come to the controller now. So it has come up to the controller. So rows also printed, but it is not executing this. So it is invalid username and password. So I don't know why. Why we'll see. So now param.password. This is my input. Param.rest.pass. It is not pass. Result.password, right? User DB. Password. It is password. It was previously variable. Now it is a rest. Is a string. Sorry, it is an array of elements. Row 0. First row I am taking. Rest.password equal to param.password. It is not rest.pass. Execute. Now at last you might see now you get the rows back. Rows. Just to maintain the consistency, I am using the array here. So array, within an array, name, user ID, email. I don't want password. So password is not part of this string now, because I don't want to pass the password outside. If password is wrong or if email user is wrong, ABC2, we know this user doesn't exist. You can see invalid password. ABC1, So this is how you do a unit testing of your code. ABC1 is available. User ID 4. So ABC now. ABC, just check the user ID. ABC is user ID 1. ABC1 user ID 4. So you can able to see that he is now validating. So he is now the backend side we covered for login, we covered for register, and it is unit tested. That is called microservice is all about. Microservice, we unit tested the microservice. The service is listening on port 6000. Under 6000, we are able to now validate the record and appropriate message we are able to give. Check password wrong, different combination, wrong password, right? Send. I should get the same invalid user and password. Whereas valid email, but wrong password, right? So I just say capital A. Still it will fail, right? So all negative conditions, positive conditions, you can test it through the postman because microservices, we are dealing with the microservices. Microservices can be accessible by the postman. So we have now covered the backend portion. Now we need to integrate the front portion to back portion. So for that, we need to, any questions as of now? I'm not asking any questions because people are not responding. So there is no point in asking questions. So I'm just continued the class. So any questions you can ask. Feel free to ask if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll continue. Okay. Okay, I'll continue now. I now come back to our node project. That is, we were in TS server project. We are now going to the Angular project. Angular project. Now I need to connect the Angular project to this. So that I have to create a component called service. So reusable itself is a service, but I don't want to confuse reusable service with the external connectivity service. Reusable service, I want to keep it within our internal. Within our internal things, I want to keep that reusable service. For external extension, that is external service. External service that connecting to DB or whatever, I call it as a HTTP service. I create one more. Node mon. This is an independent. So let this run. I create one more command prompt, node command prompt. In that command prompt, go to the project. FS project 1, right? Node FS project 1. In this project, you now create ng generate service name HTTP service. I use the word HTTP service now because I want to connect it to the external world API service. So I connect to the HTTP service. I don't want to combine reusable. Reusable is also a service, but that and this I want to keep it aside. Right? Both will have the same structure. So it is done. Now ng-serve will open the actual FS project app. Now it is loading the Angular project. So one side we have a node project ready. Another side we have a Angular project ready. Not gone into the build and other stuffs, right? We are not building anything. We are still in the development cycle only. So Angular project is ready. Service is created. So you can see now that services HTTP services got added. So there is a constructor because it's also a class for us. It is an injectable class. So that injectable starts from the root node. So it is not that it is away, it is starting from the root node. So what do you want to do? I want to now call the HTTP injector, that is actual HTTP injector, that is package of Angular. I want to use it here because that is the one which allow me to connect to the external world. So how to do that? I'll take some help from previous project. New window. I just go to the thorough project. I'll use the auth service. Here we use the name auth service. Underneath service, authentication service. I need this one, common HTTP. So first is I go with what I want. So I don't want to confuse with more and more. So first is I go with what I want. And then constructor, I want to make it as a HTTP client. So HTTP client also, underneath constructor, I put HTTP client. So HTTP dot means I got the entire HTTP client now as part of my service. So I just take one of this service, forget about all other big things. I just take one of this. This is my connecting to the external world. So this is, I first call it as register. Register data last value from, it is coming from RxJS. So I'll add that RxJS as well. So RxJS, that is to receive the data properly with the promise, I need to use that. So domain, now I'll just remove this for time being. My domain is http ://localhost 6000. My job is done. API, now I use the word login or register. In this case, register. So I'm passing the data inside the register through the post command. Whatever I did it through the postman, I'm doing it now. Whatever I did it through the postman, I'm doing it now through the post. So this data is coming from wherever I'm calling that guy, I connect it here. For login, login also is a post request because I need to send the data. Login also, for me it is a post only. So login. So here, instead of API register, I use login. That's all. So service is now ready. Right? So RxJS is the default component. Last value from is used to make the promise because external data is coming into my system. That data, I need to make sure it is handled properly. So there can be a stream data, there can be a text data. In our case, I just wait for till the last value is received. Then I'll pass back the return. That is what last value from means. So I'll wait till the last data is received because it's all like API. It's a small component. So I just wait for the last byte to be received. Then I'll return that byte. So I just made this service today. Tomorrow, I will tell how to connect it to our register page. Right? I think we kept it, register is there here. So how do we connect to this register page? We'll see it tomorrow. Right? So any questions, you can let me know. So I'll just pass on the codes, whatever we have created, so that you can use it. API, I created the register. I don't know whether it will accept in the questionnaire or not. I'll pass it on. Yeah, I'm able to pass it on. So that is under API. Right? Another is login. Login also done. Login also fully covered. Next comes user controller. So and there is a login register that we have done yesterday itself. Today we just covered login. I remove the console log so that one line less. I'll just try to see whether I'm able to code it. I'll reduce the line. Reduce the line. So it is underneath user controller class. The below code under user controller class. So somewhere it has got cut, I think. Successful. Last else got cut. So that else statement below, I'm just putting it back. So last else statement done. Then comes user DB. Register last class itself we have done. Login, I'm just doing it now. The above code is under user DB class. I hope you have all the data now. So with this, we are now backend tested postman request. I think you are aware of postman. If you are not aware of postman, I can give the curl command also of postman. You can use it. Copy. You can import this curl command directly into the postman. Take the help of so-called internet to know how to do that. So I'm also passing register login. Login also, I copy the curl command so that you can test your service. You can take it as your practice session and you can ensure that you are able to test it. Okay. So the above are postman curl command. If you are using Unix system, directly you can fire it as well and it will work. Otherwise, you can install the postman and then fire it. Okay. Thank you. So I just will meet tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.